On this episode of Audiobook Club, we place real emphasis on the word club.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Leighton.
Hello, I'm Steve Phillips and welcome to Audiobook Clubber. This is something new we're trying out, so a pilot if you like, where we ditch the page and dive headfirst into the world of narrated stories with a guest reviewer. It wouldn't be a club otherwise, would it? So today we're joined by Claire, who's here to champion Percival Everett's James, a subversive reimagining of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn as told from Jim's perspective. And in this episode, we'll explore why this powerful and often hilarious audiobook, by the way, Claire, just to bring you in at this point, I'm guessing it's powerful and hilarious. So I'll let you sort of go a bit deeper on that guide of things.
Okay, thank you.
It'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about a classic. So Claire, proper intro. Hello. Thank you so much for being our first victim.
Hello.
Did I say victim? I meant guest. And tell us a little bit about yourself and why you like audiobooks so much.
Okay, so yes, my name's Claire. I'm a book blogger. I'm an English teacher, and I absolutely love reading. And I guess I like audiobooks so much because there's just not enough hours in the day to read. So you can listen to an audiobook when you're doing the cleaning. You can listen to an audiobook when you're tidying up and dog walking and all these things that's, time that might be wasted a bit otherwise when you can't walk around with a book.
No, very true. I think we do exactly the same things here, you and I. Audiobook hoovering, I call it, and I was so glad when AirPods came out and so on. There were no more wires hanging around, getting caught up in your Hoover to listen to an audiobook. So yeah, no, fantastic. I think we're on the same audio page, if you like. So you have brought Percival Everett's James to the table. Now, this is it's a huge book. It's a huge bestseller. It came out last year. Tell us a little bit in your own words about the book and your thoughts on the book.
Okay, so yeah, James has been absolutely massive this last year. So it first came to my attention when it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize last year. And it's actually gone on to win the National Book Award for Fiction in the US as well. So it's getting really big acclaim at the moment and really being very much loved by all readers, as well as people enjoying the audiobook as well. So as you said already, Huckleberry Finn, obviously really, really famous canon on the American literature canon, was told from Huckleberry's perspective. And Huckleberry Finn's a young boy, quite innocent in lots of ways, a young white boy, and he teams up with Jim, who's a slave, a black slave in the deep South America. And Jim ends up running away from the place where he works, and he meets up with Huck on this adventure. And we don't really get Jim's point of view. So James is very much from James's point of view, and it allows a much deeper, more complex portrayal of his thoughts, his experiences, and his agency, really. So I think, as you said in your introduction, there's quite a lot of times when it is really quite humorous, which you wouldn't expect from this kind of book. And I think that really comes across as well through Dominic Hoffman's excellent narration.
Well, yeah, we'll come on to Dominic Hoffman's narration in just a moment, but obviously this has been written by Percival Everett, based on obviously Mark Twain's work. And have you read the original Huckleberry Finn story from Mark Twain? Do you sort of feel any sort of comparisons? Did it feel like putting on a comfortable pair of slippers again and thinking, oh, I know this character?
I think you do, and I think it's probably about 25 years since I last read the book anyway. And it's obviously from a child's perspective, so it's a completely different point of view. And perhaps Huckleberry gets away with a lot more because he's a child, but he also shows us the world from a white point of view. And this is a really, really interesting retelling. So we see in both of the books Huck's internal struggle really with prejudice, but in this one it directly confronts the brutality and the complexities of slavery in a way that you can't really do from the white child's point of view.
Yeah, of course. So it's very familiar, yet also completely different at the same time, isn't it? In terms of the narrative here, my experience of Huckleberry Finn is watching the TV series when I was a kid back in the 80s, Tom Sawyer and so on, and that was pitched at kids. Do you think this book might be a good sort of maybe potentially an educational piece of literature?
Thinking of the children that I teach, so I teach 11, 16-year-olds, and I think certainly from about 13 years upwards, they'd certainly get the irony and the humour. I think in this day and age, they certainly understand the struggles that are represented, and they might really, really enjoy this book in a way that maybe I wouldn't have done as a teenager.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, it's maybe a telling that we maybe couldn't have done 25 years ago. But yeah, it's much more of a reflective, layered narrative, I think, than the original one. It's not written for children.
It's like certain TV shows, isn't it, that aren't for kids necessarily, but kids really enjoy them, though they shouldn't really be watching them, I guess. Well, let's move on to Dominic Hoffman then. And I mean, I've only, like I say, I as I mentioned before we started the show, that I've not read this book, and so really, this is, I guess, a bit of a pitch. Why should I download James by Percival Everett with Dominic Hoffman's message? And just to give a bit of context here, dear listener, Claire and I connected on Blue Sky based on one of your posts on Blue Sky. Really, you came back on something I think I might have put out there in terms of Dominic Hoffman's narrative, and you really liked it, didn't you? Tell me a little bit about him.
Okay, so I think that the whole point of this novel is to give the character of James a true voice rather than one that's been filtered through the character of Huck. And I think that Hoffman does so much more than just read this book to us, and that his narration really adds a depth and a nuance to James's character. For me, I've got a paper copy of the book because I enjoyed it so much as an audiobook, and to read it, it was a completely different experience because I just couldn't hear James's voice in my head properly. And I think Dominic Hoffman's an absolute genius when he reads this. His pacing is absolutely perfect. And he really brings out the humour and the emotional weight of the narrative and the characters. He's excellent in terms of doing distinctive voices for characters. So it goes back to that, childhood love of when you get a really good reader reading a story and they put on all the different voices. And so it's a really, really enjoyable listen from that point of view. But the certain scenes in this book, not to give too much away, there's one part quite early on when we realise the ridiculous situation that these slaves are in, where they're having to pretend to be stupid and they're having to pretend to be looking up to this white master. And James is actually giving language lessons to the other slaves and younger children about how to mimic white expectations of how they should be speaking. And, he says, well, if a white master asks you this question, what would you say? And the children answer him back and he says, no, you need to put on all the lordy lordies and things like this. Now, I think a lesser narrator would have just said that as it was. And Dominic Hoffman really leans into it. And he brings out so much humour in this scene that you can almost imagine James's expression as he's saying it and showing the children how they need to really lay this on really thick so that these stupid white slave masters get the idea of how subservient these slaves are to him. There's also a brilliant scene where he's having fever dream conversations with Voltaire, because James is a really, really intelligent man. And his literacy is a really powerful symbol in this book of, that just how poorly he's been interpreted by the others. And the hilarity of this slave in the deep south having an imagined conversation with Voltaire in order to sort out his own philosophical problems in his own head. And it really comes across very, very clearly in the narration. It's brilliant to listen to.
It really highlights, doesn't it, how important having a good narrator, or not necessarily a good narrator, but the right narrator for a certain text, doesn't it? And it really counts with. Matt and I on the regular podcast often talk about is the book read or is it performed? And a performance is where they are really acting every single part. You really feel viscerally what this book is about. You kind of almost get to the soul of the book in a completely different way than you would with the printed text, as you were saying just then. And so I'm guessing if it was narration or reading or performance, which one would you plumb for?
I'd absolutely go for performance. I think I commented on your Blue Sky account that this really is a masterclass for me in just how really good narration can be in bringing a book to life and adding a different element to it, really. It doesn't just capture the tone and the style of Everett's writing perfectly. It really enhances the experience of reading this book. He's adding different layers into it that we might not experience, if you're just reading it in print yourself.
Claire, thank you so much. That's downloaded onto my phone then for next time out. And this is obviously a book that everyone should be listening to. If you haven't heard it yet, I mean, we haven't necessarily gone niche with this first edition because it's a massive book that's got all the awards. But that is James by Percival Everett. What else are you reading at the moment? Because obviously we obviously connected quite a while ago, so you've probably moved on since then. What else would you recommend in your goodie bag?
Well, I finally gave in to listen to Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, so a bit of romantasy, which is not the kind of thing I'd normally listen to, but that was excellent, actually.
Oh, hang on. Is this one with the Onyx Storm is the latest book? Is it that thing?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I've been trying to rugby tackle anyone who will come on to talk about this trilogy, because it's absolutely, well, Blue Sky was obviously filled, and other social media platforms filled with this when Onyx Storm came out. Do you want to come back and tell us what that was like when you get round to it? When you get around you just started this series, then, have you?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
Mainly because it was all over Blue Sky, as you say.
Yeah.
But I really, really enjoyed that.
Okay.
Again, the narration on it was excellent.
Claire, can we ask you back when you're up to date with all the books? Is that okay? Well, if you do go to all the books, if you just do the one and have enough, then come back and tell us about that one. But this phenomenon, certainly, I mean, this is my first experience of it, and I'm really keen to learn more about it and this phenomenon. People were just sort of posting pictures, screenshots of their Audible and their mobiles and stuff where they were up to and all sorts. It's just that I haven't seen anything like since Harry Potter came out, frankly. But yeah, it'd be great to get your view on it. What is it about, by the way? Just very quickly.
Dragons. It's a bit like Hunger Games, but people in their early 20s and with dragons, and it's a little bit spicy in places.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, but there is definitely a bit more than romance in there as well.
Want to do the sound effects for that?
A bit more PG.
Yeah.
Then the other one I'd really like to recommend is a book called Life Hacks for a Little Alien.
Oh.
And that's by Alice Franklin.
Yep.
And it's narrated by Sally Phillips.
Oh, fantastic.
So few shy, but she does it absolutely beautifully. It's a book about neurodiversity.
Yeah.
It's really engaging and modern, and somebody really questioning who they are and how they feel about the world. But she really, she really brings the characters to life and brings out the humour in that book as well. So that's another one I'd like to recommend.
Fantastic. Some great recommendations there. Thanks so much, Claire. I hope this hasn't been too arduous for you, this experience. I hope you come back and maybe talk about these books as well. That's fantastic. Where can people read your blog? How do we see your stuff?
So I'm on Blue Sky and as Wordy Witterings, and my blog is wordywitterings.com.
Fantastic. Wordywitterings.com. Bookmark it for Claire's reviews. I'm sure we'll see Life Hacks for a Little Alien and some Rebecca Yarros going on there fairly shortly, if it's not there already, of course. But I guess you've got to finish reading the books, haven't you, before you start writing about it. That's generally the procedure. But thank you so much for coming on. That was James by Percival Everett, nominated indeed. It was nominated, indeed won the awards, but it was narrated by Dominic Hoffman. It was released, it came out in April last year. It's a 7 hours and 49 minuter, published by Mantle, and you can get it obviously on your Audible app. And that was nominated and very much evangelised by Claire. Thanks so much again for coming on, Claire. And if you would like to come on and be an audiobook clubber, always welcome. Tell us and everyone what you've been reading and why we should be ear reading it. We're on Blue Sky, same as Claire. We're Audiobook Show there, and we're on Instagram as well. We do have an X account, but frankly, I think we've all had enough of X for a little while, haven't we? It's been a little bit dormant. But that's where you can get us, the hashtag Audiobook Club as ever. And we may see you next time. Let's see how we go. Take care. Bye-bye.